Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trek Talk with Tech and Kirk. I'm TechMan16.
And Kirk's not here, man.
And I'm Strange Handy.
Good introductions. It's Mother's Day. I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. All the mothers that play STFC and all the mothers that gave birth to the people that play STFC. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I did read an article that a certain amount of women were sampled, and 50% of those responded what they really wanted for Mother's Day was just an uninterrupted night of sleep. So all of you people listening, shut the hell up. Don't wake your mothers up.
That's awesome.
All right. Let's move on to some news updates on Server 34. The hostilities between IMM and MBD/Bold have ceased. There is an agreement in place. I tried to invite people on to talk about it, but nobody really wanted to come on the show. However, I'm able to gather information incognito. So I have a sample here of their peace agreement, and originally there was like 10 or 11 points, but it's been boiled down to 4 points. So I'm just going to read them off to you. Point number 1, you don't talk about the agreement. Point number 2, you don't talk about the agreement. Point number 3, you don't talk about the war. And point number 4, if you have manners and respect, you feel free to join IMM. Joke's on you, nobody has manners and respect in this game. I kid, of course.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the real agreement was still a novel.
Whatever. No, nobody wants to talk about it.
I know.
I'm sure, given some time, we'll invite somebody back on and we'll kind of go through it. The other war between the mid-tier alliances between Dead, Dread, Phoenix, AVG, and Mill lasted about a day, as far as I understand, and it was solved by some guy getting kicked off Discord, or one of the Discords. Don't you wish all diplomatic relations could have been solved by just kicking a player off Discord? Anyways, so recently, there's been a little bit of a dead issue creeping back up between Most and Dark over one of Most dudes, Africanus mainly. He seemed to have a very fast or meteoric rise from relative obscurity to number 1 on the resources rated list. Which, again, if you're following the leaderboards, I guess good for you. So, Grazi is here from Most, and I want to ask you about kind of what have you been, I know you've been in contact with Dark about this, and what we had conversations back and forth on, you were pretty upset the other day over something that you thought was squashed but kept coming back up. Can you allude or elaborate why you were upset the other day?
Well, the reason I'm upset about this topic continuing to come back up is we've had conversations about squashing it, about Africanus's numbers, and everybody's seen them all go up. We all get that, but the thing that kept coming back at me is I was getting private messages about his numbers are fake. And I wasn't getting them directly. I was getting them from my second in command, and she sent them to me. And then other people are saying stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is silly. So I messaged Kevin, and to put things in perspective of what things happen, the other night when it was all the armadas that were getting called, and like crazy amounts, Africanus was raiding a base, and it was I'm wanting to say it was Jeep's base, and he's in there.
It was Jeep, right?
Yeah. And so he's hitting his base, and he's asking everybody if want to be part, and nobody really even paid much attention because we're calling armadas like crazy, right? And then all of a sudden, I see a message in there that says they're trying to take my raid. And then I click on the link, and it is Jeep Space, and there's Kevin and Darius Rex like hitting his ships. Well, at first they weren't hitting his ships. They were just, it was almost like it was a standoff, and then they started poking. And then so I'm immediately in game message Kevin, said, "Are you really taking this guy's raid?" And then it was all about, from there on, it's a fraud, it's a fraud, it's a fraud. Well, later on, Kevin ends up saying to me, "Hey, look, I'm sorry if that was a legit thing. I shouldn't have. We don't steal raids. We're not going to do that." And in my mind, I'm thinking everything is dropped. Well, with the next day, he even sent me a text and said the same thing. He didn't want to be that guy. Those numbers, wasn't that big of a deal to him anymore. That part of his game was pretty. I'm sure it's not over, but he said that it was. It's pretty well over. And then what happens is he apologized again, and I thought it was done. Then I get a couple more messages, and then Andy chimes in, and then I get where his Africanus admitted he stole those numbers or something. How'd that read, Andy? That you sent?
Well, I asked Dragon Silver. I said, "Hey, so did Africanus admit to you guys?" I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but I said, "Hey, did he admit to you guys that he was arranging raids, to boost his numbers or whatever?" I mean, that was the intention of my question.
Right.
I never got a response. I think, and unbeknownst to me, I didn't know it was a sore subject, or I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't talked to anybody about it. I had just seen a few messages, people saying, "Oh, I guess he's, getting people to give him resources to pad his numbers." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Who gives a shit?" But I'm curious now. So I messaged DS "Hey, did this guy admit to you guys that this is what he's doing, or?" And I never got a response, and I didn't think anything of it. I just, didn't go back to the chat room. And apparently she messaged you showing you that I asked.
And
you took that to
that
mean...
made me fly apart.
Yeah. Well, once again, it's all about communication, right? So
right.
DS really should have just responded. And if she's thinking to herself, "Hey, we've been getting blown up about this. We've already said it's not true. Why are you asking me?"
Right.
I would have said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize, no problem." Because I have enough respect for you and DS. You guys are both straight shooters. You've never lied to me. So, if you told me that, I would believe you that, to your knowledge, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just raiding.
Right.
Right. So what I heard from the Dark guys, and I wish Raptor was here, but was that Africanus got 9 billion resources, and again, Scopely math, it's not how many resources you raid. There's a certain percentage that's applied per resource that you take, leaning more heavily on dilithium. But what I got was he got something like 8 or 9 billion in a night to pass BD on the leaderboards. And what the and again, talking to Raptor secondhand about this, where Kevin came in and D-Rex came in to stop the raid, and all of a sudden Jeep and Africanus bubbled, and there was accusations of Jeep is giving him resources just to kick Dark off the leaderboards. To which, again, I don't think that's necessarily the case, but if it is, where somebody is spending a bunch of money, in the hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars range, just to give it away to somebody else to kick somebody off a leaderboard, that's more indicative of a mental health problem than it is like a cheating problem.
Well, that's the way I was looking at it. I was thinking to myself, fuck, this is so goddamn silly that somebody would waste their time with this shit.
Right.
I want to know if it's true, because that's crazy. I mean, that was my thought process.
Well, my thing is just like you both said, is who the hell would do that? I mean, it doesn't even to me, doesn't make any sense. But I think sometimes I'm sane. So
Right. Well, and then the other piece of information is that if you look at the guys who are the Hannes's statistic, it's very unassuming in terms of everybody else on the chart. I mean, he's got maybe like a tenth or whatever of all the guys.
You guys are fighting through a bunch of fights, dark fights through a bunch of these things when them raids are happening. I don't know what's happening when his are going on. He might go get lucky, everybody out mining at the time that he's doing it. Numbers, I don't know. But like I said, it's not enough of a thing to me to dig into it.
What I was told is that he primarily raids in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping. That's when he plays. And, it makes sense. If nobody's there to interrupt him, he's not going to have a whole lot of power destroyed. He's going to crack a base and then raid, and that's it. I mean, it doesn't give you many numbers. And then on top of that, if he's not the kind of person to do a lot of PvP in general, then of course his numbers aren't going to be very high.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put this: base raiding is dead. I mean, the people that raid resources don't need the resources because they buy packs to upgrade their ships to raid bases. So the whole concept of base raiding, it made a lot more sense at the beginning of the game when there was nothing to do but mine titanium, parasteel, dead lithium, and there were no shields. So hiving and raiding was a huge part of the game, which I would think is one of the core concepts of the Star Trek Fleet Command game that Digit developed. But nowadays, I mean, people raid just to swing their dicks. It's not because they need the resources, because they're going to buy the packs anyway. I mean, if you look at the top guys on our server, level 42, level 49, level 44, level 46, level 47. Like, these people don't need the fucking resources. They don't. They're just doing it because they can. It's not a huge part of the game. Actually, I would say it's actually a waste of the game now, because you're just wasting your fucking time doing nothing when you could be doing other things. Because if you got 6 billion dilithium that you need to upgrade a station component, you're not going to get that from raiding. You're not going to get 6 billion parasteel to upgrade a base component. It's insane what the game has evolved into in terms of the PvP/base raiding aspect of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And really, most people don't raid. They just don't.
Right. So to Africanus' numbers, I just want to point to a lot of sports examples. For like in the 70s, the Celtics won like 11 championships in 13 years. Well, for them, they just needed to win one basketball series to get to the NBA Finals. Nowadays, you need to win 3 series. But does that diminish the fact that they won 11? No, it just wasn't that hard a time. There was no modern free agency. There wasn't really a 3-point shot. Everything was done by the post, and they won 11 championships because they kept all their good players. Can you replicate it today? Of course not. It's a different game. You got different obstacles. So, it's like, and leaderboards don't matter. It's not like you get anything from being in the top 10.
No, but a lot of people, the people at the top, get a lot of satisfaction out of being at the top of a leaderboard. I mean, you've got people repeatedly and regularly spending hours and hours of their day mining or doing an event or with crap rewards just to see their name in the number 1 spot, number 2, number 3, whatever it is, or just to beat the other guy, their nemesis, everybody's got their vision of who their enemy is. Maybe not enemy, but opponent. is a better word. Whoever their opponent is in the game, maybe a specific player, maybe an alliance, but everybody's got opponents, right? People you measure yourself against, and that's their thought process. That's how.
Well, the measurements don't make sense because to drive the point home, I'm just looking at my own stats. I'm number 210 in the resources rated by rating 2.114 billion. Number 205. So I'm 210. Number 205 is Komarasu from Bold. He's level 43. Number 209, right above me, is Remain Calm, who doesn't even play the game, at 2.16 billion. And then Strange Kirk, he's level 41. He's at 2.107. He's at 212. And then Crashem, who's level 50, is 215 at just over 2 billion. So the numbers don't mean anything. They just don't make. They have no bearing on anything.
No, they really don't.
Anyways, I'm gonna switch gears, and I'm sure Grazi will calm down after a while. I'm gonna switch gears to talk about your love affair, or your rekindled love affair with Chef. Chef, you want to hop on in? You guys have reconciled after a long hiatus, and Chef will admit it was his fault that he miscommunicated. And now you're best friends once again, secret lovers. How did that come about?
Well, he hasn't jumped in here yet, but
but you could
pretty well.
I'm
What
gonna
happened
fucking
was
hit Nona
is-
till they hit dark. That's it. I'm gonna hit Nona till they hit dark. All I'm saying.
No, that's just not fair.
I'm out.
Chef, why don't you enlighten us how you guys reconciled? I know it involved like some flowers and some music and a chance encounter and a pack of smokes.
No. That lightened the mood. Well, I'm just gonna keep referring back. I'm not scrolling. I've rehearsed this. Don't let me go over the top. But I just want to keep referring back to the original podcast. And Grazi was mentioned highly in that podcast. And he's always been an enemy. He's always been a friend. He's never disrespected me. Well, when TC happened, as I told in the first podcast, I took a sabbatical, came back after 7 weeks, and I went to all the teams that were red dot, the big ones, like half a dozen, and Grazi was one of them. Medic was one. Crashem was one. And I just basically said, hey, you want a clean slate? And those three particular teams, Bold, I think, was another, and they just said, no, we're fine with the casual, even though you have bad blood, so do we. And I said, you sure? And they go, well, we have one person, MRFM did, and we go, we got Dentarth, and there's no way he's going to stop hitting you. And so we just kept it casual, tried to be friends. Grazi and I always stayed in touch. TC started happening. So I went to every one of those teams, and Grazi's here to back me up, because they all did it at the same time. Every PM was about the same time. Handy knew about it. But every 3 weeks, I'd say, hey, guys, it's getting more intense in here. You start hitting me and my friends in TC capture, I'm gonna hit you more outside. And every one of them just ignored it. And finally, when it came to Grazi, he bantered with me, and I took offense. And it was totally inappropriate because it wasn't that. It was harsh. I'd have done the same thing for him. It was all he basically said was, your principles have changed by being friends with yada and yada. And that was it. I blocked him. You don't insult my friend.
He blocked me. He blocked me. I couldn't talk to him in game for nothing.
I literally teared up. Swear to God, in my kid's life, I teared up. That's how much I care about the guy when I did it. And I wasn't high. I mean, that hurt for a long time because Grazi was my friend through some rough times, physically.
Yeah, and then Grazi created this underhanded scheme where he tried to get me and you on the podcast at the same time. I guess that worked.
It's an intervention.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, and that was it. Just the simple factor in that podcast, he basically didn't say anything, and the guy can kick my ass. in the game if he wanted to. Never has. He's always been, hey man, I'm away. Here, hit your ships. And he could scan my base. I never changed nothing. I never shielded nothing. It was a laugh. That's the way the game should be played. Anyway, so it was basically so what happened was he reached out to me, and then just one day they just and then even on the ceasefire for Sharky, Key hit me in deep space. And I thought Grazi was behind it, and that was my fault again. So I pounded him. And this, just like a light bulb, they just quit hitting. I guess word got to Grazi, I was sad over it, and they just kept hitting. They quit hitting me. Key and everybody just quit hitting. So I stopped. And then I reached out to Grazi, vice versa, and we've been laughing our asses off ever since. And, team first. But the thing what really upsets me the most is when several podcast people are pissed off at Key. He got hit me during a ceasefire. He didn't know about it. Even if he did, don't matter. Bad blood's gone.
Yeah.
But I want to defend the guy. I want to defend Trojan. I want to defend Boogie. I mean, and Handy summed up the best. It's if they're playing the game, as long as they don't break the rules, they're playing the game. If you know somebody, you played long enough, they're since day one. If you're going to piss them off and you know you pissed them off, they're going to go on a rampage, you're an idiot. Just leave them alone. Give them some respect. They've spent money, time, effort, just like I have, just like anybody who listens to this. If you can respect each other, you get to keep your stuff. It's that simple. It's a war game. And you make some really good friends out of it.
So Grazi, I have something to share with you. Chef's been cheating on you because Stinke and Crashem and Dogs of War have been touching Chef's base in every which way with every single ship.
That's what I hear.
So what's up with that, Chef? Why they keep touching you?
Because I think of them when they do. That's or sometimes I imagine I'm somebody else.
The funny thing is these guys hunt you down and hit your base repeatedly, but it's like they don't realize that you actually enjoy it.
They didn't listen to the first podcast. Because you got to really, even if you just look at the numbers. I don't think
they listen to any of the podcasts, but I know that you enjoy it. You enjoy the confrontation that they bring to you, and they keep doing it because they think that somehow this is gonna make you stop or punish you, but all it's doing is punishing them because they are changing their gameplay and spending a bunch of their time and resources to quote unquote teach you a lesson, when really they're just wasting their time and resources and you're enjoying it. And eventually you move away when you get bored of it, and then they find you and they do it again and you get a kick out of it, and then you move, and it's just this cat and mouse, and the whole time you're laughing at them.
And they said they wanted it.
You would think by now.
They said they wanted it. They said the same thing Medic did. They wanted this back a year ago. But they kept up in their game, and I kept offering them peace, and they kept, I mean, I've treated all those guys all those teams the same. I would say, hey, you need a coupon book. Hey, I tell them when I'm offline mining for 2-3 days so they could mine free for a couple days. I'll give you an example. Right before I went to war with MRFM, about 3 days before, and you guys know about it because we talked about it. And no, I don't sound like Trump. I got screenshots. Sorry, I had to throw that one in. So anyway, we ended up, Dogs and I got in like this virtual dick swinging. It was banter. It was funny, but it was basically, we really don't want to go to war. So one day I saw one of their armadas, and I did all of them. I hit one of their armadas just to see how they would react. Hit one of Grazi's. Of all of those teams, MRFM went apeshit. Medic's team did too. Sorry, 2 teams. I guess all of them did. Anyway, but MRFM went off the work. And I apologized. I said, look, I thought you guys hit me first in deep space. I apologized. I ended up, on your note, Handy, I ended up hitting 13 of their Armadas in 5 days. A lot of them were rares. Yeah, I know people don't like hitting rare Armadas, but to me, it's no different hitting in deep space. I spend money, you spend money. I want my money. Don't take my money. So that's what happened. And I apologized to him. I said, we can go back to casual. I'll forget all the crap you guys have done and all the players blocked and the lies that a player or two have done. I'll forget all of it. Let's just, nap or casual, you call it. And I hit one Armada and they went ape nuts, and dogs have been hunting me ever since. But if you just look, and if I just go stoic and just state facts, no emotion, and just say, if you look at the numbers, I've always based hitting a base on a 4-to-1, 5-to-1 average. If you've got a 5 mil ship, odds are you can beat a 20 mil. You can crack it one shot. Now, you take a 20 mil Pilum versus a 150 mil base, or ship's gone 135, 140 mil base. Yes, you will blow up your ship. I'm probably going to have to repair, but it's greater than a 4-to-1. It's probably about a 7-to-1 on Tritanium, mine versus them. While my other ship is out hitting their miners, which is costing them resources, time, away from Alliance, away from missions, away from events. Every time they have to send it back, plus rebuild it. Plus you got Boogie hitting them. Plus, while they're being individualists, I've been growing with my friends. So once again, back to the first podcast, I'm building an empire of friends. We play our own game. Sometimes they intersect, sometimes they don't. But it's all this. I told you in that first podcast, you have to adapt. I've adapted. So now it's not about, oh, Chef just hit everybody. Chef is going to build friends, and we're going to hit everybody. If you guys can't play nice, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of change with your gameplay and your attitude, and I gotta say, I'm proud of you, Chef.
Thanks,
Truly.
buddy. I know what's best for the server, and trolls aren't what's best for the server.
I want to move on, but Grazi, I'll give you the last word on Server 34 issues. You feeling better? You feeling more calm?
Yeah. Feeling better. Feeling more calm. All is good.
All right, guys. Thank you. I want to thank you guys for coming in, and I want to bring up Server 12. So we did a podcast featuring Server 12, and I thought it was great. I thought we got to learn a lot about a different universe and hear people's viewpoints. But and Handy, you weren't there, but I'm on the Server 12 Diplo server, and somebody posted the podcast in one of their channels called Dumpster Fire Conversation with Popcorn.
Oh yeah,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, and there were a bunch of people. You're
We
right.
should make that the new logo of freaking Dumpster Fire. That's awesome. I love it.
Dumpster Fire with Trek and Kirk.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, a lot of people were commenting on some of the content that was presented as being either inaccurate or didn't have the right people or various things. And somebody was using very foul language to describe one of the players that was on the podcast. And I'm not gonna repeat it on here because I just don't want to give credence to it. But Byrd, if you're here with us,
Right here.
you know, he was involved in mentioning you directly, and he wasn't using courteous words, if you will. And so you, as far as I understood it, you put him on your personal KOS list, and you waited a little bit, and then you beat up his miners, or what you guys call a dirty kill, right, in air quotes. And that made its way into another facet of the Diplo discussion, where you were just asking him to apologize, and so he provided a public apology. So I got a question for you in terms of how that went down. Did you talk to him prior to, I don't know, what did you kill an Envoy or something, or a Horizon?
No, I didn't talk to him at all.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, like what he said, and I'm not going to mention the person's name, and I'm not going to mention the circumstance, but I mean that kind of talk, it's not necessary in this game.
Can you give us a Cliff Notes version of what he said?
Well,
Let's just basically look at it like this. I'm from the South. Yes, I have a little bit of a drawl. And then, of course, I'm from Louisiana. Arkansas is right above me. What do people equate Arkansas with?
I'm not going to say anything because Voter's here and he's from Arkansas.
Well, Voter, I'm not. No, what I'm saying is people talk shit about, he started mentioning my family and shit, talking about, family trees, not forking and shit like that, but he got real specific and nasty with it. Look, I'm going to preface it with this. Tech Man, the dude is on your server, or he was on Jansen's. Tech Man offered everybody from server 12 to come on and give their, side of whatever issues we've got on this server, right? He had it. I came on. So of course, everybody's got a different perspective. I mean, they got a different opinion on how everything went. And if you don't like my opinion or if you don't like my statements, fine. That's agree to disagree. But you're not going to sit there and freaking go on a little diatribe like that and not expect me to ask for it.
Yeah, I'd say that's very uncalled for to make it that personal. I mean, come on, it's a game. Chill the fuck out.
This dude used to be in Zero. This dude, I spoke with one of his officers over in Future, and they're like the number 2 alliance. I don't care. And I told them, I mean, they were fully aware after all this went down, they were fully aware about the KOS. I mean, they took screenshots of your of what I said in your server, and posted. They were fully aware. Their officer contacted me and he said, "Well, you got him KOS." I said, "Well, I explained everything. I said he went off the rails. He was all that crap was uncalled for, and dude, I want an apology."
Right. So everybody made a big deal. Sorry, everybody made a big deal about this, that you blew up his ship, and
It was a fucking minor.
hey, now, aren't people very protective of their minors on your server?
Yes, they are, but I don't care. I mean, the dude was hiding in his base for 2 days. He knew it was coming.
So so Handy, it got kind of exploded in this gigantic conversation, and I want to kind of bring this out to a forefront. So Byrd, you were wronged in a very kind of personal way, and I want to open this up to you guys. If somebody does that and people are aware, how much leeway is there of a quote unquote personal KOS on that individual? And I mean that because the conversation that happened was, Byrd, when you killed his minor, the other guys in his alliance were like, well, that's an attack on our alliance. You can't have a personal KOS on somebody because if you're,
I'm sorry, Tech. What that is? It's their quote unquote one of their admirals flexing their balls. I mean, I'm going to be honest about it. Look, here's the deal. They knew I was pissed off. Yet it takes them 2 days. Well, I was busy. Okay, you've got other people in your alliance. Your other officers are aware of the thing. None of them contacted me. Nothing. They didn't think I would go through with it. I gave you 2. Oh, we were dealing with it. Well, fucking talk to me. Excuse my French, but talk to me. Let me know that you're handling it. Let me know that you're handling it.
It all comes down to respect, man. They weren't showing you respect.
Exactly. Well, they don't like it. Firestarter, he doesn't like me. And the guy who said it, dude, Lightus told me he can't stand me, and I don't care. There's a lot of players that don't like me. Look, I'm a level 37, but I'm telling you, I don't care if somebody's a 45 or level 50. I'm not going to let anybody sit there and talk down to me, and I'm sure as hell not scared of your little 15 million ship.
And nor should you be. I mean, everybody should stand up for themselves when they're treated poorly. Human to human interaction is important. And if you're treated that poorly, you should stand up to them. You can be enemies in a game and you can go blow each other up. They're just little pixels. But when you make it personal, that's a line you just shouldn't cross in a game. You just shouldn't.
And technically, yes, what I did was a DK. I'm not going to, I put them KOS. They knew about it. So technically, it's a DK, dirty kill, dry kill, whatever you guys want to call it. But when you're not, in my thought process on the thing is, okay, if all they had to say was, "Hey, we're handling it," it would have been a non-issue. I'd have given them their time. I'm not unreasonable. But when I'm getting crickets, it seems to me like they're sweeping it under the rug and laughing.
Right, it can definitely feel like that. I'm curious though. So you let them know it happened, and then what was the response? Did you get an immediate response?
Lightus, one of their officers up there, he and I have a decent relation. I mean, we have a respectful relation. The guy who was on, in terms of we can hash things out and keep things civil between each other. There are differences of opinion. I mean, hell, he even told me that he listened to the podcast and he doesn't understand where this guy's where he got off saying that everything out of my mouth was utter garbage. Again, like I said, I don't have a problem with somebody saying, "Hey, I don't agree with you." That's fine. You were offered to come on and give your take of it, but you didn't. I was, Riker was, Lexi was, and Jansen was. We came on. Nobody else from any other alliance from Server 12 came on. Don't come after the fact and then start screaming out obscenities like that and expect me to take it in stride.
Yeah, don't blame you.
And the dude apologized. He took a shot at me in his apology. I overlooked it.
He just couldn't resist, huh? He took a shot at you even in the apology. That's awesome.
This dude's got some old grudges against me from the Borg ZRO. And the dude can't stand me. I mean, you know what? Fine. I don't care. I don't care if anybody likes me or not. This is a mobile game. I'm usually respectful to if people are respectful back to me.
Well, I mean, I would always argue that even if somebody's being disrespectful, you can still be respectful back to them in a chat. You should never bring yourself down to their level. That would be
now. I will say this: I think he went off the rails when he said everything that came out of your mouth. I said, well, I did not see your bitch ass come into the podcast.
Right, but just adding in the bitch ass part, although probably what most people would do, given the circumstances, you just leave that part out, and now you have the moral high ground. But just by adding things like that, it degrades your response in everybody's eyes. It brings you down to his level. It just looks like two idiots bickering.
After I said after that, I never took a shot at him. I put my points out. Here's the thing. When I originally asked, what was so inaccurate about what I said? Everything that came out of your mouth.
Well, which is a very childish response. He sounds like he's 12 years old.
Everything that came out of your mouth. And then even after, what was so inaccurate? What was so inaccurate? He would not say there were no points posted. 3 times he tagged me, and that's when he did. I never tagged him once. I never said anything else after.
And I can confirm that, because when I tried to prod people for their opinions, I couldn't get anything that was to the contrary. The only time I actually got some clarification was some of the guys did PM me, and kind of straighten a few things out because they had more relations, because they were higher up on the chain, if you will. So some of the points that were brought up are valid clarifications. It wasn't anything that was completely off, I would say, but there was more context that I got. It was literally just everybody saying, "Oh, what a dumpster fire! What a dumpster fire! What a dumpster fire!" Completely wrong, and inaccurate. And I was told I needed better quality people and better quality guests on my show, and I was like,
No, here's what that is. It's you get the admirals from the top 5 alliances who like to swing their dicks at everybody.
Well, they're all welcome to come on the show.
Yeah, but that's just it. When somebody says something like that, they're saying that your point of view is shit. You know what? No. I don't care if it's I don't care if it's top 10 or top 25. Everybody's got their own opinion, and their voice should be heard.
Well, I was just going to say, in my experience, all points of view have some merit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So what I thought was hilarious was when I was listening, or rather reading, the response to everything after Byrd killed this guy's minor, was the leadership comes onto the Diplo server and like, well, that was a dirty kill. You owe us a hull, which to me, again, I asked for clarification on this, where if you hit somebody's minor, or if it's a dirty kill or somebody, you're supposed to retaliate by giving one back, and again, it's not a formal rule, by any mean whatsoever. But this entire thread of conversation was, well, hey, our guy, so you need to get him to kill you back. And Byrd was basically saying, all I wanted was an apology. I told you guys I was going to do this. And then they try to bring in the alliance aspect, like, well, it's your alliance attacking our alliance. And Byrd's like, no, dude, it's just me versus him. It has nothing to do with your alliance or my alliance.
And Byrd warned him. He warned him. Like, come on, God. Like, give me a break. It's like, hey, I'm gonna walk over here, and then he walks over there, and they go, hey, you can't do that.
I talked to multiple people in their alliance. They knew it was coming.
Byrd, just so you know, if somebody hits me, what I think is, quote, wrongly, I go around and I retaliate 5 to 10x. So,
which I don't think that's the right way to do it. I really don't. 5 to 10x. I mean, come on, a measured response, but 5 to 10x.
Look, I'll tell y'all this. I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off that day that I seriously thought about dropping tags and going wiping out all their alliance. But what's not fair is to the players that didn't have any involvement in the whole thing. It was down to one player. So I kept it at one player.
Well, I think that shows a lot of restraint, and I congratulate you for not doing that, because most people would have flown off the handle just after the conversation and not waited a few days and not even tried to reach out. So in my opinion, you did everything right. You showed respect to the alliance, you reached out. I think you did everything right. And if anybody has issue with it, they're crazy.
And guys, I pulled JaneTheWay up, and because JaneTheWay's in the server as well. So I mean, if he's got opinions on this as well, I mean, what really kind of ticked me off a little bit was, a guy from my coalition. I'm sitting there. I'm handling my own, and then somebody from my coalition comes up and says that I'm in the wrong here. Dude, you don't have the full context.
Well, it was posted for everybody to see if they're on the Diplo server.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, again, the conversations were had on PM about what's going on. I contacted their leadership. I was talking to one of their members and saying, this dude's KOS until I get an apology. I mean, it's not like this was something that came out of left field.
So JaneTheWay from UFS. How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm here. Yeah, so basically everything that Byrd said was about right. Unfortunately for us on server 12 is we're basically divided in half. There's 2 coalitions and each coalition hates the other. So unfortunately, Byrd's on one side and the other guy was on the other side. So we have to bring in all of our alliances and all of our coalitions and let's talk for 15 hours about it and make it a lot of drama when there isn't a lot of drama. I was sick by the time it was over because Lidus is pretty reasonable, but then their admiral jumped in and really made a mess. And that's whenever Byrd kind of that's when Byrd started acting like Byrd, and started freaking out, which rightfully so, but their admiral pretty much hates Byrd, so anything he can do to piss off Byrd is, a win for him.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, we're deeply, deeply divided. So it's kind of
That's too bad. So people don't make friends across enemy lines?
Not really. No, we pretty much stay to our side and they stay to their side and we kill each other as much as we can. And Byrd can pretty much attest to that too.
Yeah, I have a few people that are on the other side that I do talk to that I actually get along with. I actually get along with a lot of players on server 12. There's some that just can't stand me. Fine. And
well, I get along with a bunch of them too, but I'm.
Do most people want that server to be like that? I mean, is everybody enjoying that animosity and war between these 2 big coalitions?
I'm gonna say no.
Well, why not change it? I just don't understand.
Unfortunately, the 2 top powers are both level 49, and one's on each side. And
that doesn't matter.
Those
are one fucking player. You know what I mean? Just because they're the most powerful doesn't mean that they speak for the whole server.
Well, they sort of do, depending on the day. So the level 49 on our side is a great guy, but he definitely has some issues sometimes, and he is the biggest, most power on our server, and well, pretty much what he says goes. And if you don't like it, well, then he'll, and not to say that he's unfair, because I get along with him really well, and I'm really happy to be in his coalition, if you will. But it's kind of, a line has been drawn, and you have to pick which side you're on with everything.
The dynamic here is, with respect to your server and respect to your players, it's not like that on server 12, because it's like you get the 2 to 4 big dogs within the top 4 or 5 alliances who genuinely do not like each other. Now I will say sometimes they do kind of agree on certain things, but most of the time they're taking shots at each other. Just see whose dick is bigger.
All right, the virtual dick swing contest. Anyways, so I kind of want to move to another topic on your server, and that is, and then I invited Chef here from our server. There is this alliance called SFW, I believe, that's been going around and killing Franklin's OPL in Swarm Space. And I want you guys to, Chef, I know you listened to our last podcast, but they're hunting OPLs, and that's against server rules, if you will, or server row. And is everybody against them on both coalitions, or is it more of like they've gone radio silent and you don't know what to do with them?
They've, last I checked, is their admirals switched over to somebody else. They have been contacted, and from what I understand from some of the other alliances, and apparently are working that out. We've gotten a little bit of an influx of players with the language barrier, and I think that's some of what's going on here. I know that it's true in 7th, because we've had an issue with them pop up. Maverick unblocked me and actually contacted me when I contacted one of their Commodores about, hey, you need to fix this guy. And I got an explanation back. It was better than the silence that we've been getting from them. And Maverick was actually, let's say, not crazy at the he didn't go off on any diatribe. I was being respectful, and he was being respectful back. So I was like, look, dude, you need to get this guy to stop hitting. Now, in terms of the Swarm Space, you'll get these new players, or some players just don't necessarily get the memo right off the bat, think everything's open game. That's a lot of the issue we get from like 2. It's mainly stuck at 2 or 3 alliances that we tend to have problems out of. The whole rule about the Swarm Borg space is mainly due to the thought process was to help lower level players get their special little things so they can progress and get a higher level and progress without having to worry about, hey, is my ship? So I get it to an extent, but it's like, okay, you can go into board space, and yes, it costs you to get in there. You get that, but yet if you get the special little miner that goes in board space, and it lets you go mine in the nodes in the lower half, was it over by Klingon space? You can get popped OTL there. even though it costs you to get into the system. And the thought, it's just to me it's kind of confusing as okay, this board space is protected, but you go down to go mine in the other board space, it's not protected.
So, Chef, you've been listening to this before. What do you think of these? Either their language barrier or whatever that they hit the OPL Franklins or whatever. What do you have to say to them about that?
Well, first off, I find out what the language barrier is. Is it attitude, or is there actually a language barrier? Is it English?
Actually, a language barrier. It's not about attitude. It's about the language barrier.
Do they speak a different language?
Yes.
Okay, then it might be one of the. They might have come off one of our Asian servers or our Euro servers. That's what's coming.
No,
Those meetings are coming.
it seems like it's more due to I think it's more Spanish than anything. Hispanic.
Yeah,
players.
normally the Latin American players are lumped in with the United States or the North American servers.
And if I'm not explaining it well here, Jane can step in and if I've missed something in that aspect, please jump in, Jane.
No, I think you're right. I think it's Spanish and Portuguese. I know I've ran into a couple that speak Portuguese, and there has been an issue.
Yes.
So I go onto Google and translate what I want to say, and then post that in the chat, and they're like, "Oh, okay," and they respond back in Portuguese. Of course, I translate it back, and then they're like, "Oh, I didn't know. Sorry. I'll let my group know." That kind of thing. But as far as the server goes, the entire server has agreed that swarm space and board space is off limits. So that's at least two things we can all agree on.
Okay, well, all I can do is tell you what I would do because I don't know you guys very well. I don't know them. If you really wanted to make peace with them, since you know the language, keep it brief and short, and just say to them, translated, use Alexa, and just basically say that, hey, we want to be friends. Don't hit us, we won't hit you. And how can we help you? What do you need?
Now there are a couple of what is it? What's Paul's new
Instigators?
alliance name? Yeah,
What's what?
What's Paquila? What's her?
Oh yeah,
alliance now?
Paquila. Yeah, she's. Oh god, it changes every day. I don't even remember where she's at. Yeah, we've got a couple that really like to stir the pot.
Every server's got those, though.
Are they trolls, or they just like to randomly hit people because they left their ships hanging out there?
They're trolls.
And randomly.
Yeah, they enjoy the drama, I think.
Easiest way to handle trolls is you don't reply to them. Don't anybody reply to them. They feed off
ignore
you.
'em.
They just want to reply. They just want to hear you to know they got your attention. Doesn't matter what it is. You ignore them. The easiest way. Then every once in a while you drop a logic bomb, and it makes them look stupid. And then while they're trolling again for an hour, they're also bitching because you're hitting their ships.
Well, I don't. Well, that's basically what I do whenever she's on, or he, whatever. I don't respond to them, and I tell my guys, look, we can mark them, we can red dot them if you want, but all it's going to do is it's going to increase it. Just kind of ignore them. If they hit your ship, repair and resend, because they're not going to come back, and they're sure as hell not going to leave their war vessel out to where for you to come pop them. They're going to run once they see you got a bigger ship coming.
Another fun one to do, which I did 24 hours ago or 36 hours ago, take the one that trolls you the most. They just want attention, so get them in a civil conversation, something they like. And then while they're doing that, hit their ships. I did that 36 hours ago, and after I hit his ships, he goes, I'm going to dinner, and he left chat. Hasn't been back on chat since. You feign like you're talking to them, and then you're hitting their ships.
See, you guys are learning.
Byrd, do you remember what level Paquila is? I don't even remember. Last time I checked, I couldn't hit her.
24, 25. I think
she's out of my range.
She's intentionally staying low because they know the big guys can't hit her.
Yeah, because I think my lowest level I can hit is a 28.
Somebody that small is so insignificant as I wouldn't even bother doing anything. Just completely ignore.
Tell your people to quit leaving their ships out.
Well, no, it's not leaving their ships out. They're getting hit on mine. These guys are just going around.
There's tricks to doing that too.
I just tell them to repair it and just resend, go back to the node. If it's gone, go find another node. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do. And especially with these guys that
The easiest way or the simplest way to get them to quit hitting you is to develop friendships. If the language barrier, you're going to have to figure out how to over and to get your point across that all we want is peace. If that means you got to go beyond, you have in order to have good friends, you have to be a
there
great.
is a sighting. Sorry. I apologize. I apologize, Chef. I see Maverick.
No, that's okay. You just went with any friendship. You've got to give more than you're getting in order for it to work. If both people do that, it works. So if you don't know them very well, just cover their head with kindness. It's a biblical expression.
Yeah, and that's coming from Chef. He's our top non-row guy on our server. If you guys haven't figured that out.
Well, I'm one of those weird people that could care less about miners getting hit. It's like, meh, if you hit one of my miners, fine, whatever. If you hit one of my 4G miners, then I will kill you. But if you hit one of my little miners, I could care less. It's like,
why are you still using a G4 miner? I mean, you got disco and summoning. You don't need them.
Well, they mine faster than my G3.
What tier is your G3 compared to your G4?
I think my G3 Antares is a T7, and my Vortivore is a T5.
Okay, so that's why. I mean, in my experience, most people have completely maxed out G3 miners, so.
Yeah, it was one of the things that I was going to focus on, but I was one of those weird people that when I got to level 39, I didn't have my jelly, and I couldn't get it because the auction events on our server were just stupid, 50 million needed to win it. So I ended up kind of speed leveling to get to 41 so I could get my Vorta, and then I got my Vorta and my jelly literally the same week. So it was a bummer.
Yeah, you switched your focus. Which is why I typically recommend people just stay at 39 and get their G3s done. Get your G3s done, get them all maxed out where you want them because they're still extremely useful ships well into the 40s.
Yeah, my G3s are, my Enterprise is maxed, my Augur and my D4 are T8, so I'm close.
Nice.
Your primary focus should be your officer over ships.
Yes, officers are a big thing. I just maxed my con, and I'm very happy with him.
Send me a PM later, buddy. Hey, buddy, send me a PM later, and I'll tell you the perfect setup for your Sally with con.
Okay. I haven't used my Sal in forever.
I was just going to say that.
It'll take you to 50. It'll take you to 50, and it's very, very cheap to repair.
I mainly use my Enterprise and then occasionally my Kelvin.
Oh, those are both bad for if you're a raider or doing hostiles. Both of those are bad. Well, Enterprise is okay. No. Enterprise is okay, but I wouldn't use a Kelvin.
No. I don't use Kelvin for anything I don't have to.
Okay.
I have a Kelvin and a Valdor, and they just stay in the garage, nice and shiny, untouched, because that's where they need to be until I can get to the point where they're.
Yeah, at some point you'll get to the point where you have enough resources coming in and you've got enough research done to bring the repair costs way down. And until you get to that point, most people aren't going to use those ships much unless they need power for PvP or something.
When we had that whatever server update that was from Scopely that did the 50% reduction, that was amazingly helpful. I actually started using both of them for some things. The reason I don't use them for PvP is because our coalitions both have them, and our guy has a level 40 Kelvin, and their guy has a level 40 Coronar, but our guy also has a level 35 Newton. So they kind of keep the G4 ships. We leave to like the 46s and 47s and 48s. And even though I'm a level 44, I still feel like a little guy compared to those guys with their 20 million power ships and the ridiculousness of repairs that they cost. But our guy has literally money means nothing to him. I mean, money is no object. He just spends pretty much whatever he wants to spend. Same for the top down there guy. Me, it does a little bit. I spend, but not nearly as much as they do. I don't do, a couple thousand a week.
It doesn't take power to be a holy terror in this game. You can have somebody level 32 over the Salada and be a holy terror. It's just whether or not what's your end game, what's your goal. Should be friends. Isn't that what everybody's goal is, to friend and take everybody's stuff?
Yeah, that's the one thing that's my one thing. My admiral for my group has a hair trigger and a knee jerk, and he's kind of an asshole. So, and Byrd, I'm sure would agree. So I have to be the voice of reason and go, okay, let's take a step back. Let's take a breath. Let's look at everything before we just full on go to war. And I keep pulling him out, I have to keep pulling him back. So I'm used to playing the devil's advocate and trying to be nice to everybody. But, at some point when they don't want to be nice back, there's only so many times you're going to hit your head into a wall before you're like, wow, this hurts.
Well, it's all, which is better, to be a jerk and lose a friend, or apologize and maybe gain two?
Well, you're right. I agree.
Trev, you don't forget that behind the anonymity of a keyboard, which we have in this game, people say vitriolic things and people can divorce themselves of their real-life personas. So as we kept mentioning many times on this podcast, it's like, would you say what you say in PM or on Discord to somebody that you would say face-to-face? If you can't say that, then you probably shouldn't be saying what you're saying.
And that's funny because there's people that won't be on voice chat because we'd find out that they really are like that, or they have been on voice chat. We find out, and you talk to them and go, yeah, they really are that way in the game. There's the other side of that coin too.
For sure.
Devil's advocate.
Well, look, I'm who I am. I mean, what you see is what you get. I can be reasonable. I can be friendly to somebody, but unless you show that respect back, I'm not going to give it to you.
Who's your avatar? Is it Thor? I don't think you look like Thor though.
No, I changed my name to William Wallace 1, and that's the picture of Mel Gibson. I changed it in game. I forgot to change it back, and I did it on purpose. Sometimes I'll get in these modes where I'll start changing names. I'll do it to troll people sometimes too. And I have one guy. I changed my name to or changed my alliance to an old alliance tag I used to run or used to be in, and dude lost his mind because he used to be the admiral of that alliance. He lost his mind and threatened to go on a DK spree because I just for that. He apparently has major hatred for me. I don't care. I mean, dude, without getting into old stuff and digging up old things, some people take grudges a little bit too far. Hence, what happened recently with my KOS thing. Dude had a grudge against me and doesn't like me. Fine, you can disagree with me anytime. I don't care. You're entitled to your opinion, but you cross a line, that's where I'm going to have a problem, and that's where that all boiled down to.
Byrd, are you talking about when you switched to crit?
No, I did crit. I did. Remember, it was right when we split up the big Borg group.
Oh,
Remember we had 5 or 6 alliances, and I was still admiral of the main board branch, right?
yeah.
And we were all figuring out what tags we were going to use. And while we were doing that, I changed my tag to Top G
Oh, Top
to
G.
Wolf.
Oh,
Yes, I changed my tag to Top G. I changed it to Wolf. Even changed my name to Sierra. Boy, did I get a lot of PMs for that
oh,
one too.
so much drama.
I got a lot of PMs from that one too. Everybody was getting all excited thinking Sierra came back.
And who is Sierra?
Oh God, Sierra was a wife and husband team. They were just like total opposites in the game. I mean, they were using one account, and one person would be all nice and have everything settled, and then that same say the husband gets on and all hell breaks.
And they were just
So
using
the-
one account.
They were just using one account.
It's probably smart not to use two. Just spend the money on the one.
Yeah, but that makes it very confusing for everybody.
It just means that particular player seems bipolar.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, that's exactly
Personality
what we were
syndrome,
saying.
like,
Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying at the time when all that, because we literally thought the dude was bipolar until we found out it was a husband and wife team.
And I'm assuming they quit the game by now.
Oh yeah, long time ago.
All right.
So Tech,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to bring up. I see Maverick is in. Is Maverick's mic working? I know you wanted to get in touch with him.
I did, and so it hasn't worked. We've done a few tests, and we're gonna try something else here in a little bit. But yeah, Maverick will be on the show, and
okay.
and
I just wanted to give him his 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, I can invite him, see if he can. You know what? Let me try this.
Yeah, because I don't think any of us have actually talked to him before. So I'm kind of curious as to what thoughts he has.
So Maverick, if you're listening, if you try to chat or unmute, see if it works. You're still muted.
he may not have a lot of Discord experience, maybe. I don't know.
No, and yeah, he's had some issues
There he goes.
between
He's unmuted.
some of his devices. Yeah, he's unmuted, but I don't know if his mic is working. Probably not. So we're gonna try something else with him, just see if he can get him up and running. Next time. And
okay, well, I mean, I appreciate him for coming on. Thank you, Maverick. I mean, that just shows he's trying.
Well, I think it's true of anybody. It's you could say all the nasty and vitriolic things you want in game, and then when people actually talk to one another, like physically, then it becomes such a different dynamic, and people get to know one another on a deeper level that I think really kind of melts away some of the animosities and some of the barriers that we build up as online persona. And I think that's for the better. It's kind of like politics. You stay in your own bubble and you sling mud out the other side until you like start talking to one another, and you realize, these people aren't so bad. What am I slinging mud at you for? So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I mean, again, it goes back to like I was saying. I mean, everybody's got their different perspective, and he's got his, and the fact that he's actually shown up and wants to listen or talk, that tells me a lot. So I mean, I'll give him props for at least coming on.
Right. All right, guys. It's Mother's Day. I'm thinking I'm gonna wrap it up. You guys got anything else going on? Handy, you got anything else going on?
No, sir. I don't think so. Oh, well, I mean, I could touch a little bit on NONA and MCRN. have been butting heads a little bit.
Oh yeah. I didn't get into that. So you guys have been butting heads. What was it over?
Well, there's a long history there. But suffice to say, MCRN is one of those alliances that their general rule of thumb is if whatever is dealt to them, they're going to deal back. And typically, they're going to deal it back a little bit more, right? So if they get hit for OPL, legit or not, what'll end up happening is, their guy, if they want to, but they're encouraged to, I'm told. Crashem told me himself that he encourages his players to go and try and get resources back that were taken from them. So, for example, they're out mining and they forget, they leave their ship out, they're way OPL, and they get hit. Now they're encouraged to go out, find another person from that alliance that's OPL and take it back. Instead of just kind of taking responsibility. Oh, my bad, I left my ship sitting out. Which is not a big deal. I'm sure a lot of alliances do that. But then I know a few of their players will take it much further, and may spend the next few hours out hunting OPL, which I take a little issue with. And then one of the biggest things is a few other players that just have a huge NONA chip on their shoulder for whatever reason. I'm sure, we're an alliance like any other, right?
Well, you're the top alliance, so
yeah, but our people are people just like everybody else.
Sure.
We've got people that have short fuses, people that have long fuses, people that hunt OPL. Some people are farmers, whales, not whales, free to play, people that spend more money than anybody else in the game. So we've got a good mix of people, just like any other alliance.
So I know you guys had a talk, right, about trying to cease hostilities between two because things got a little edgy or heated, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, we've got a few other players over there that just have a huge NONA chip on their shoulder, and they're just causing problems, right? And it's created a lot of animosity in NONA. So we have quite a few players that are just pissed off at them. And it may not even be fair, but it's reality and deserves kind of a response, right? Like,
I guess so, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to do something about it.
Right. Well, that's what I do, right? I feel that was wrong, so I retaliate in kind. So I guess they do the same.
Sure. So, anyways, long story short, and then the very last thing on the list is issues with leadership. Now, this, for me personally, is the biggest thing. So, when alliances have issues with each other, it needs to be addressed right away. If it is not, it should be a next man up mentality. So if Crashem is busy, there needs to be somebody standing right behind him, ready to deal with any issues. And so far, and everybody knows this, it's a standing joke among all the alliances. And I don't even know that MCRN really realizes this. And we've tried telling them, but I don't think Crashem really understands how much of a meme it's become. You know what I mean? Like, it's very common knowledge that MCRN doesn't handle issues. And if they do, it takes forever. They have a tendency to talk internally and never make a decision. And this is coming straight from other Commodores that have told me this is what happens internally there, that they don't handle business. And that's my biggest issue with them. So that when we do have issues, it doesn't get handled in a timely manner. and then there's no communication back and forth. So even if they do handle something, they don't tell us. So now we're holding on to this grudge, and it adds up over a year or two, and we never, you know what I mean?
Handy. So you're telling me that aside from Crashem, he's like everything. He's admiral, he's diplo, he's player, personnel, and if he's away from game, there's nobody else that can step up and be the diplo officer or the internal relations officer or whatever. Is that what's going on?
Here's the issue. Kind of. I mean, of course, their comms are capable and probably very willing to handle issues. But in my experience, when it's a serious issue, everybody wants Crashem to deal with it. So, for example, me and Byrd, just between me and him, have had problems. Like, we've taken shots at each other, which is abnormal for me. I pretty much get along with everybody. But for some reason, me and Byrd have a tendency to butt heads sometimes. And so Byrd is second in command there since their merger. And we butt heads, right? So Byrd has a tendency to just kick things up to Crashem. He doesn't want to deal with it when it comes to me, I feel like. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just how it feels.
I don't know. He's the Server 34 version of calling this podcast a dumpster fire. So
True. But it just gets very frustrating. So me and Inko, we've just been very frustrated trying to deal with this, and we've got our players getting pissed off at their players, and we're trying to hash it out and deal with it, not getting much response. And then we come back to the deep space mining agreement, right? Our gentleman's agreement that we've had standing for a while. We don't hit each other
Right.
LPL in deep space. Well, Byrd actually started the conversation. He saw a problem, like, hey, it's getting more busy up there. Maybe we should talk about this. And I agreed with him. I was like, that's probably a good idea. We should have started having a conversation. So we did start a conversation, and then it was radio silence for a while. And of course, I took that conversation to everybody else, and everybody was talking about it and made decisions on how they wanted to deal with it. Had another convo with Crashem and Byrd. They kind of gave their opinions and said, well, we're going to bring this to the rest of our alliance. So Crashem and Byrd brought it to the rest of MCRN for a conversation. And then a few weeks goes by. He told us he would let us know. And a few weeks goes by and radio silence. And meanwhile, they're included in a chat where all the top alliances are actively having a conversation about this. So all they had to do was go into Discord and read what people are saying. Like, they're included in the conversation. It's not like we're not telling them what's going on. So everybody makes a decision, hey, this is how we want to deal with it. Row is row, OPL is OPL. This is already the rules. We'll just, it's getting busier in deep space. People are having trouble finding nodes in the lower areas, and the upper areas are clogged with the same people all week long, mining on the same nodes. So let's just make it OPL is OPL, make it simple, no problem. So we all decided, agreed, and then now all of a sudden, everybody's decided it's become row, it's regular row. We've dropped the gentleman's agreement, and now MCRN has an issue with it.
So you guys had a talk, right? You, Byrd, Inko, and Crashem, right? Just the four of you guys. And what was the outcome of that discussion?
Well, it kind of went around in a circle a bit. But at the end of the day, we decided that we would kind of give each other a kind of a blank slate, because one of our main problems is we have issues and they get swept under the rug, or a lot of our players don't even report them because they know nothing's going to be done. So when an MCRN member acts a fool or says something that's not acceptable or does something that we don't like, A lot of people just don't even report it because they're like, it's MCRN. Crashem's not going to do anything about it. I mean, that's the standing joke because in our experience, that's what we've witnessed. At least that's how it feels. It may not even be true, but that's how it feels. So people don't report things, and then when they do get reported, nothing really happens. At least that's how it seems.
Okay.
So, we decided to give each other a blank slate. So, okay, going forward, we're going to keep better track of issues between our alliances. So when our players have problems with each other, let's record them, let's relay them, let's talk about it and work it out instead of just letting things fester. So that's kind of where we left it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's at least a starting point, right? So who's going to keep the spreadsheet for all the instances?
Well, that's a good question. But essentially, we created a Discord room where we're just having our players post any issues they have with MCRN. And we'll take that info, take it to Crashem, and hopefully he deals with it. But I think the biggest thing is just more communication. Like, I don't have any communication problem with any other alliance. Like, Most, for example, like, Most and Nona just went at it like rabid dogs over territory capture. And it finally got settled, and we're friendly. And I've got friends at Most, and anytime we've ever had an issue with them, they respond immediately. I mean, within an hour, I can expect that things are going to be handled with any issues with Most. And that's just one example. And, MBD, same thing. Bold, same thing.
Dark? No issues with Dark.
No issues with Dark. But, we have in the past, and when we did, before we were allies, once again, bring an issue to you, we feel a resolution, you know what I mean? We're reassured and it feels resolved after we've communicated. And we've never gotten that from MCRN. And I think that's where our issues come from.
I know I really can't speak to that, so I'll invite MCRN to come on and talk more about this. And anybody's welcome. But again, it's Mother's Day. I'm gonna wrap this guy up. Next week, join us. We'll have the top guys from Server 12 stop by and chat about their respective coalitions and why they absolutely hate one another. Hint, Borg, hint. That being said, Riker from Server 12, he wanted to wish everybody a happy day. So, Riker, go ahead.
May the mighty Eggy spray its creamy blessings upon you all.
Well said.
Excellent. Perfect. And remember, as I said earlier in this podcast, please let your mothers and your wives and all the women in your life sleep today, because that's what they really want. Just an uninterrupted amount of time of sleep.
Maybe a good nap.
Yeah.
Don't forget the creamy blessings.
Exactly. Right. They put up with our shit all day long, all week long, all year long, all month long. So let them sleep. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Everybody's more than welcome to come on the show and listen and raise your hand and talk. We're happy to have anybody on. And thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment, helps with the algorithm. This has been a dumpster fire with Tech and Kirk. I'm TechMan16.
And I'm Strange Handy.
And we'll see you guys next time.